I believe the new moon is the middle of next week.
It's coming.
Yeah, now it's coming.
It's coming. So, check out cafeastrology.com. That's where I get some of my astrology from. It's free to everybody. You just Google that form and it's quite free. I've got a chihuahua on my lap. I got everything on me right now. I got a tiny little chair I'm sitting in. Joan's got the whole sofa and the ottoman, and I've got me, squeezed in with, and the little boy wants to be on me, of course. Of course. Right? We love you, Ruby.
Well, at least he's being quiet.
I love you, Ruby. Yes, I do.
And he loves her.
He needs a little mask because he sneezes a lot. Okay, so now, what's the center of the universe? We don't really have a center of the universe, but we used to be Earth-centered, then we went Sun-centered. Okay, so I'm asking you this because it's about kind of looking at how we change our perspective based on new material that we've acquired. Okay. So if we're acquiring new information, what are you going to do with it?
Well, you have to, it's depending on what kind of new information you're getting. But you need to go over it, you need to assimilate it.
What about verify it?
Verify it and then see if it works into you.
Mm-hmm.
Because there's always new information coming out, but is that something that's going to be good in your life or not?
Well, what about just verifying the information as to the veracity of it? Okay. So,
Yeah, it's got to be verified. You don't want to do something just because somebody says, "Oh, you should do this."
Okay, yeah, but I guess I'm kind of keeping this fresh and relevant. So we're in a time right now where we're living in a time where nothing is verified.
Okay.
We're in a global pandemic. What's verified right now?
But the only thing that they've verified is that there is a pandemic, that there is a virus out there.
Okay.
As far as anyone, they haven't come up with any kind of a cure. They haven't come up with any kind of really good information. Everything is like, it's like, oh yeah, wear the mask, do this, do that, do that.
Have you heard anyone telling people to eat healthy?
No.
Have you heard anyone telling people that it's important to take care of the inside because there's an intelligent life force within you that will self-orient, have knowledge and grow?
No, you don't hear that on the
news. I wonder why we don't hear that.
But you do not hear that on the news. You don't hear that coming from any of the experts.
Do your doctors talk with you about that? Are you hearing that from your doctors? No.
No, you don't.
So really it does come down to self-directing energy. And, if you don't know that you have a self-directing energy life force living inside of you by now, I guess, then that would be your belief system. And, but the reality of where we are now in time, in what we know, we're not Earth-centered anymore, sir. We're Sun-centered, but we become more knowledgeable through time, so that we do know. Now, are they going to sell you a hood and a line and a sinker?
They're going to try.
Get you to, buy and eat foods that aren't good for you because they've made them so jazzed up and made them, passionate and created this type of subculture related to it so that you become a part of it, but it's not really a healthy thing to do. I don't know. I mean, that seems to be a self-perpetuating kind of thing, and
Yeah,
it's not easy to get off of that grid if
that's
you are a
true.
type of
That's true.
person who is a group think and who thrives on the group. I think it's easier for the introverted and those types that are more feely, kind of introverted. They make their own rules kind of thing. But the people who are need validification from a group get a lot of group pressure and do a lot of things that they ordinarily wouldn't want to do,
Yeah,
but because they don't want to feel and I'm not saying this is a young person's thing. This is
that can be any.
all across
Yeah,
the
it can
whole
be across
span.
the board. Yeah.
Doesn't want to be looked at differently, needs to fit into the group, can't stand on the own individual selfhood. So, which then makes you basically follow instead of find your own place to lead.
Sheep.
Well, yeah, sheep. Yeah. So, you know,
But you have to. Yeah. I mean,
we need good leaders.
yeah.
And it's very important to have good leaders, but good leaders aren't easy to find.
No, they're not.
And so, it's always about the profession, whatever it is, whether it's medicine or law or the politic, the chiefs. Um, the intention, even the best of intentions, once it becomes part of the machine, it gets eaten up by the machine. So, a lot of the reasons why we only have here leaders for a certain amount of time is primarily so we can change the leadership and that we don't get put under a kingship or some type of a dictatorship rule, but that we're able to make changes. So if someone comes in and they're like, oh, I could do it so much better, okay, so let's see. And if they do, wow, that's great. Let's keep that. And sometimes we don't want to let it go, but the whole freshness of our society that we have here in America is that change, that churning change, that ability to receive in new and upgrade, and so it's certainly something for us that's for our benefit, uh, because otherwise we could be caught in something that you're in some type of like Napoleon the first, second, and third.
Yeah.
You can't get out of that paradigm, but that's not America.
No, no, it's not. Thank goodness.
Okay, so
We're very, very lucky on that.
all right then. I guess that's it for the show for today. I don't want to bring too much information, and I think the most important information is to be able to take care of yourself and to understand that there's a lot of activity outside of ourselves. As we've said oftentimes, when you're driving down a road, and even with the best of navigator, you all of a sudden come across some kind of crazy accident that happens on the road,
Exactly.
and now you're in traffic for 3 hours and it wasn't planned. So it is about being aware of the things that we can be aware of, and one of the aspects that we are very much aware of, I mean, it's here for us, it's been here for so long, is this ancient knowledge of knowing our relationship to the stars, and how everything's so very interrelated, and our relationship within ourselves, and how that is related to the stars, and not take it off into, oh, that's crazy talk, but realize that we're at a place now where we understand what that actually means, and that it isn't that crazy.
No, it's not.
It may make us uncomfortable because it calls into accountability. It causes us to become more responsible and to take ownership, and oftentimes even make shifts that may be uncomfortable. Sometimes they're forced upon us, and that's, I think, one of the times we're in right now.
Yeah, I think you're right.
A big forced shift, and we're using it the most we can to upgrade and keep positive, and we understand on so many levels that everyone's going through it on a different way. So I hope that at your best you at this show, you can at least have a little place to tap in and listen to us chat a little bit about what's going on, and how we're in relationship to it. I know I said I made a soup that it has to do with the immune system, and Joan loves it.
Oh yeah.
So if you can make your bone broth, whether it's chicken or beef, or if you're a vegetarian, then
They even have a vegetable.
get your vegetable broth and just get those good root vegetables, and take care of yourself, because you do matter, and if you don't think you matter, then everything in your cellular body hears that, it receives that, and it will affirm that for you.
Yeah. You're gonna get. That's a good way
So
to get
if
sick.
you were programmed, as a younger person, and say you had parents that just didn't really affirm you, many have had that.
Yes.
Okay, and then you don't really get that time until maybe you're in your 40s, where you start to find who you are. Uh, that still goes on today, and we we understand that it takes time. I know I understand it, and I know Joan understands it, because we've been
Absolutely.
around for a while. So
Yeah.
we can see how long sometimes it takes time, and you think you're moving forward, and then you get set back. But keep positive, and
Keep
affirm
positive,
yourself,
right?
and
Keep putting one foot in front of the other, and
And-
don't give up.
just
Don't
if
give
it's
up.
not a good day, it's not a good day, and that's okay. Not every day is meant to be a day of blissfulness, but every day can be a great day. What is it? I was earlier kind of going like, I'm not feeling a lot of pleasure all the time, because I deal with different levels of pain, which pain and pleasure are like
Yeah.
So but I find joy, and laughter, and things that will help to calm that, the, 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 the physical types of issues from the radiation.
Yeah.
And so everyone has something that we are dealing with, whether you've had a heart attack,
Yeah.
okay, or you've had, other bodily issues. We're all here. We're all, if we're blessed, going to be able to have longer life. I don't think we're going to get 900, but we can have a longer life. And I imagine when you're older, you'll want a longer life too. And when you're younger, it's kind of given.
Yeah.
And then there comes a
Yeah.
point where you start to get lost in the middle years of the doing, as opposed to the being. And then you try to balance it, but maybe the doing did you in. And now you have a lot of health problems.
Yeah.
So trying to be aware of that now, and know how food affects it, and rest. Those are all the very important elements that will help keep that immune system healthy.
In other words, it's not too late. You can
It's never
start-
too
it's
late.
Never
It's
too
not
late.
about going and doing a bunch of exercise.
No,
That's
it's-
good, but it really is about eating and sleeping and drinking good water, and re-inhabiting that inside so that it's happier.
Yeah.
And then you can go ahead and do the exercise,
Right.
because it will be more equipped for that.
Exactly. Exactly.
So, well, folks, I don't know, Joan, do you have anything else you want to share with everyone? It's
Just to stay positive and never give up, and know that you're very special. That everyone is special, and everyone just it is like we said. Everyone matters. Everyone has a very special place in the universe.
heart chakra. Inside of our body, as within, inside of every planet, and even blades of grass, there's a vibratory frequency. So when they say that music heals and soothes the savage beast, there was a reason for that. Because it did, see. And they learned.
And yes,
that.
it does. It
And
still
I
does.
haven't done the research, but you think of the player of the flute, to bring the sheeps and whatever, the ones who would
Yeah.
walk and they would be
The
followed.
shepherds, yeah.
No, because of course we didn't have all that we have technologically.
No.
So that was that.
Yep.
So when you work with the vibrational frequencies, you'll see that you can alter what's going on inside of your body to help deal with a lot of the different issues. The one concern that I have with that is that everything that we have that we're getting for that stuff has to come off of something like this, which has got that blue light and all that energy. That's contrary to the energy that we're trying to produce by the vibrational frequency. So the best place to go is outside in nature. And then you're getting the energy of, if you can, the ocean or a lake or a forest bathing or, anything other than more of this and all of the things that we really are connected to, that it's part of us now, but we want to balance and make sure that we decode, de-stress, connect with one another, okay, and have personal connections, but also have connections that are, virtual connections, whatever you can to get your connections in. I guess that's about all I can think about for today's show. I know that there are some other things that we could talk about, but then I take it into another topic. I don't know, do anybody have any questions? Do you ever have any questions?
No, not really.
No questions?
No.
Okay. You understood everything?
Oh, yeah.
What's the name of the man who...
Oh, don't ask me that.
What's the term?
Auto, and there was a big pilot something, I couldn't remember the name of it.
Autopoiesis.
Autopoiesis.
What does it mean?
It means that that auto meaning self, and that almost like your body is its own little universe, and it helps it self replicates. Things replicate.
It talks inside. The immune system talks to the different parts of our body, so it knows what is in the bone marrow is going to be different for this part, and it moves through our body, circulating in an intelligence of super intelligence, fighting the things that aren't good for us, okay, and helping the things that are good for us to understand who they are, gain a knowledge of themselves.
Right, and that can be and that can be as simple as when you get a cut, that your body fights off the infection.
It heals.
It heals it.
The skin. Right. So we have the ability, when given the right circumstances, to heal so much more. But because we've gotten into this, as I said, pushed out world, low wages, long hours, lots of stress, disconnections, especially disconnected from the food source. And so, one of the cultures I think that is at least the most connected still is the Jewish culture, because they have the kosher food.
Yeah.
And so within the Jewish culture, there's still a sense of, wow, we gotta watch what we're doing with the food, So, smart.
Yeah, and in some of the Jewish traditions, some of them even have separate dishes. They can't mix certain
because
foods.
of the cross-contamination.
Right.
And
they
it's
actually
like more of a consciousness.
But and to the point that they even have different dishes. And the dishes are separate.
Well, I like
and
that
the dishes
idea.
are washed separately with a different soap.
Yeah.
And the reason I know that is when my mom was very young, she worked for a kosher Jewish family, and she had to learn all that stuff.
That's a real kosher
well,
Jewish family. I mean, there's different levels.
But there's different levels of it. Yeah, but she worked for this particular couple, and so she had to learn how to cook for them, and also the different traditions about the dishes and how they did things.
And she was a little Polish woman.
A little
so
Polish girl, yeah.
couldn't barely.
Yeah, no, she was very young.
So
It was
here
pretty
we are,
amazing.
pretty much everyone in America, except for the Amerindians, the ones who were here before us. Um, you know, I mean, we didn't discover America.
No, we didn't. We're basically we're all immigrants.
We all just keep invading one another and taking over the land and taking over the people and going, it's mine now.
That's mine now. I was here first. Wait a minute.
Humans.
Yeah.
You gotta love them,
Yeah.
because we're great. We have the potential for the most beautifulest of actions, on one side, and on the other this other. So, we have to personally become accountable, and it's not always easy because of depending upon where you came from, and
Right.
it's always something different to deal with. But I hope that the show gives you some things to think about, and hope it opens up a little bit so that there's an awareness, around some of the things, and in interactive ways that we can help our bodies to be better and happier.
Mm-hmm.
And there's no perfect solution, there's no a panacea, and there's no magic pill, right? And everyone has their challenges. And even when you think you've got something going and you're going along, and you're like, oh, finally, I've got this running now, and I'm going to be, I got it, and then what?
Yeah. Yeah.
Where'd that one come from?
Yeah, really.
But
Out of left field somewhere.
I truly do believe that it does have to do with our the ability to be resilient, and but not just flow and be like, oh, I no matter what comes. But I think it does have to do with this kind of seeing that turn and glowing it up. So it's not just about, well, I can get through anything, I'm so resilient, but what'd you do with it? Where'd you take it?
Yeah.
You went through this thing, like how did it shape you? Were you able to form it into something that made you better?
I was just going to say that.
Or did you get bitter? Because you're all going to go through a process no matter what. As Elizabeth Kubler-Ross said, the stages of grief are circular, and there's no linear time frame, and they're revisited with triggers. But indeed, they're there. And if we're aware of that type of cycle, it doesn't mean you deny that you're angry. You have a right to be angry at certain times, and even to express it in certain ways to certain people.
Yeah.
I'm not telling you to go out in the street, but if you've got something that you're working out with a family or whatever, and you're upset, it's going to come out there. But eventually, at some point, you want to have gained something from that, so that the next time there's something else, you might not fall into that same place. I'm not going to say you're going to go you might go somewhere else.
Right.
And you then go, wow, I didn't realize, even I have this in me. Geez,
Yeah.
where'd this come from? I wouldn't have even known this, but boy, it sure came out, So
hopefully you can become better out of you gain, like you said, gain something.
well, it's the humbling, and it's the humility, and then the gratitude.
Yeah.
The ability to be forgiving.
Yeah.
It's that tree of life, or the the tree, the sacred tree. It has many branches, and so if we call it the love, it has forgiveness. You can't have love without forgiveness.
That's for sure.
I don't know what it is. So every one of these elements is part of that tree. And to be a fully bloomed tree, and to have the experience of all these types of aspects, and to turn them, the hay into gold, is something that not it's not something that we can just so easily do.
No.
It takes
acquired.
It's acquired, and it's the dedicated practice of self-love that then allows for the person to then pour it out.
Yeah.
Because you can't give what you don't have.